Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for this organic presentation and webinar. We appreciate those who are presenting, taking time to join us to talk to you about organic agriculture. If you're looking to just get started in organics, or if you're looking to actually transition into organics from your current operation, we'll discuss ways that you can do that. So we are being joined today by the Agricultural Marketing Service and the National Organic Program. Also, the Farm Service Agency will be sharing about opportunities that are going to end some programs at the end of this month. So we're going to talk briefly about those that can support you in your organic efforts, as well as bring you information from the Natural Resource Conservation Service on programs that they have available to support organic agriculture. So again, we appreciate everyone joining today. We are recording this webinar. We will follow up with our participants. You'll receive an email, copies of the slides, and then this will be posted on farmers.gov later for viewing if folks had signed up and were unable to join us today. So we appreciate those, again, all of our presenters. And so first of all, we're going to kick off with the Ag Marketing Service. And so at this time, we would like to welcome Laura Gallagher and Penny Zuck to join us and talk to you a little bit about organic agriculture. So Laura, we're going to kick it over to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Amanda. And thanks to everyone who is joining us this afternoon, this evening. We're really excited to talk to you today about organic agriculture and the National Organic Program. So my name is Laura Gallagher. I'm a program analyst with the National Organic Program. I've been with the program for about 3 years, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Penny Zuck, who has been with NOP for several years and also has experience with an organic certifier. So we are ready to answer all of your organic and certification related questions. Just a quick agenda of what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to start with a quick overview of the organic market. We're going to talk about what it really means to be organic. We'll cover the key players in the organic industry, talk about the organic certification process, and then we're going to really focus on sharing some resources that are available to you all if you're interested in organic or already certified. So first, just a quick overview of the U.S. organic sector. The organic sector is the fastest growing segment of the food industry. Organic sales surpassed $63 billion in 2020 and 2021. It represents just under 6% of total food sales and is sold in a variety of markets. Even conventional grocery stores now, it's pretty common to see organic products. There are more than 45,000 certified organic farms and businesses worldwide. So the market really does continue to grow and presents a really good marketing opportunity for farmers or ranchers or others who may be interested in being involved. All right, so we're gonna try something a little bit different today. We are gonna talk about the definition of organic, but first we wanted to share this poll where you all can participate. It's totally anonymous, and we're just looking for one word that comes to mind when you hear the term organic. What do you think of when you hear that word? So you can respond by going to the link shown in this slide, and I think we've dropped that into the chat also if you want to grab that. You can also text, and the results, hopefully, fingers crossed, should show up on this slide as folks start responding. So the instructions are there at the top, and what's one word that comes to mind when you hear the term organic? I'll pause for a second, see if we get anything in. Hopefully this works. All right, first word, sustainable. Synthetics, maybe free of synthetics, clean. So it's going to create a word cloud. So we'll see as folks respond if we're getting more of some answers or others. Genuine just came in. All right, lots of good answers. It's kind of shifting around. Clean and sustainable are coming up as the most responded answers. Some folks have also pointed out local, authentic, this idea that if you buy organic, you know what you're getting. It's going to be synthetic free. So yeah, this is cool. Sort of cool to watch the responses come in and see this evolve. So a lot of you emphasize the sustainability of USDA organic practices. And when we talk about what is behind the USDA organic seal and what that really represents, we say that it emphasizes really natural processes and ingredients. Someone on the last slide had also said synthetic free. So synthetics are limited. There's a limited number of approved pesticides and other synthetics that can be used in the organic program. So it emphasizes physical, mechanical, and biological farming methods, organic support soil and water quality, and biodiversity. And then I think there was also a comment on the last slide that it is authentic. So organic certification is a rigorous certification process. There's residue testing, there are annual inspections that are done by certifiers. And so it is a vetted seal. When you see the USDA seal on a product, you know that it has gone through this vetted process. There's a link, and you'll get these slides after the presentation, but we'll try to drop stuff into the chat too. So this link at the bottom goes to a web page that can answer some of your basic questions about what is organic, what is the seal, and what does this whole thing really mean? All right, so this is a quick overview of the stakeholders, the key stakeholders in the organic industry. At the top, we have the National Organic Program, that's us, and we are a federal regulatory program that develops the rules and regulations for organic products. So we set the standards. The National Organic Program also accredits third-party certifiers. So these are private organizations, some nonprofits, some state governments that will actually certify operations. Then, of course, there are the certified operations themselves, those over 45,000 operations that I mentioned around the world that create organic products. And then we have the retailers and consumers. Obviously, an important part of driving the market are the folks who are interested in purchasing organic products. I also want to highlight over here on the side, we have the National Organic Standards Board. It's a federal advisory board that gives input to the National Organic Program on the standards and helps us develop those and evolve those over time. So just another quick overview of the National Organic Program. We are primarily a regulatory program. So NOP is the center of the USDA oversight and enforcement for the organic industry. Our mission is to protect the integrity of USDA organic products in the US and around the world. And we sum this up in our program vision, which is organic integrity from farm to table, consumers trust the organic label. So you can see our three categories here. We have strong organic standards, sound and sensible certification, working with the certifiers to implement that, and also fast and fair enforcement if there is ever an issue with products being sold as organic that are not meeting the standard. Okay, so I know that a lot of folks here today are probably producers, farmers, or ranchers, and you might be interested in becoming certified organic. So we do have a certified organic, a certifier locator on our website through our organic integrity database. Again, link here on this slide for finding an organic certifier. And this would really be your main point of contact if you're interested in getting certification. We're always happy here at USDA to share about the programs and services that we have, but if you want certification, you'll need to find a certifier. So you can search through this certifier locator to find a certifier that works in your state. You can filter by state. And we encourage you to sort of shop around. We tell folks to interview certifiers to find the one that's going to be the best fit for them. Obviously, you want someone who operates in your area, maybe someone who it sort of knows the products that you are producing and has experience with those. When operations become certified, there are 4 different scopes that they can get certification under. So an operation can be certified to crops, livestock, wild crops, and handling. And handling is essentially the processing of organic products. So operations can be certified to one of these scopes, but they may also be certified to more than one. That would be an important question for a certifier if you're interested in becoming certified, is can they certify you to multiple scopes? Is that within their capacity to certify to multiple scopes? And then what would you need to be certified to? So for example, a dairy farm would obviously be certified to the livestock scope for their cows, but they would also be certified to the crop scope to cover their pasture, hay, and any other crops that they might grow. Wild crops includes the harvesting of wild mushrooms, ramps, or even kelp or seaweed is becoming more popular, just to name a couple examples of wild crops. And then handling includes all the processing, packaging, and labeling of organic products. So in some instances, if farms or operations do a little bit more processing on their operation, they might also have a handling certification. Okay, so what does the organic certification process look like? Organic certification is an annual process, and it is a requirement for all certified operations. So the first thing that producers have to do is to adopt organic practices. These are codified in the regulations. I'll talk about some of the specifics under each scope in the rest of this presentation, but there is a list of practices that organic operations must use. Then they're going to have to submit an application to a certifier, and this will include an organic system plan or an OSP. The organic system plan really outlines all of the practices on the farm or on the operation that allows them to comply with the organic regulation. So it really is just like a farm plan or an operation plan specific to organics. Once the certifier receives the application, they'll review it. They will set up an on-site inspection. So an inspector will come out to your operation and walk around, see what's happening on the ground. Then the certifier reviews the inspection report. They'll communicate back if they have any questions or concerns, and look for clarification or correction to make sure that that operation is following the organic standards. And then finally, once everything is in place and the certifier has confirmed that the operation is following the standards, they go ahead and submit, or they will issue an organic certificate. So once an operation is certified, the first part was sort of this along the side of the screen going down, and then there's a circle of the annual recertification process. So after an operation is certified, they're going to submit an annual update that explains any changes that they've made, any changes to their practices, if they're using different inputs, if they're growing anything differently that year. The inspector is going to come out again, do another on-site inspection. That's part of the annual process. And then the certifier reviews it. So that sort of continues over time to make sure that an operation continues to be certified. Okay, I will dive in a little bit to some of the general requirements for the different certification scopes. This doesn't cover everything, so we have more resources that go into additional details about what's needed, but this is just sort of an overview of those requirements. So the first thing for crops and for everything is all of these operations will be governed by an organic system plan. For crops, the land has to be free of prohibited inputs for 36 months for 3 years prior to the harvest of the first certified organic crop. Crop farms have to maintain buffer zones. They can't use prohibited substances, including sewage, sludge, irradiation, and genetic engineering. When organic seeds are commercially available, they must be used at the operation. And then the operation has to document their pest and weed management, use practices that maintain or improve soil condition and minimize erosion. And they can use natural inputs or USDA approved synthetic substances in some circumstances. For wild crops, again, the OSP, first requirement, and similar to cultivated crops, the land has to be free of prohibited substances for 36 months prior to the first harvest. For wild crops, a lot of the requirements have to do with the harvest, making sure that it's not destructive to the environment, harvesting or gathering the crop in a way that allows for the sustained growth, and the site cannot be maintained under cultivation or agricultural management. That's what sort of defines it as a wild crop versus just going under the crop scope. For livestock, there are specific requirements that pertain to feed, living conditions, which includes housing and also healthcare. So feed must be 100% organic. For ruminants, there's some additional feed requirements pertaining to when they have to be on pasture, how much of their feed intake has to come from pasture, and how long the grazing season is. In terms of healthcare, organic livestock cannot be given antibiotics, growth hormones, slaughter byproducts, and can't use genetic engineering. And then similar record keeping requirements must be, the organic status of animals must be documented. And finally, the requirements for processors and handlers. Again, they have an organic system plan. There's a lot of emphasis on preventing the commingling or contamination of organic products. So to use the photo in this slide as an example, a handler of organic tomatoes would have to make sure that those did not come into contact or get mixed up with non-organic tomatoes. They have to prevent pests using approved practices, use certified organic ingredients in organically labeled products, use labels that are approved by the certifier, and they also cannot use irradiation or genetic engineering. I've talked a lot in this presentation about allowed and prohibited substances and things that you can and can't put on the land for a certain amount of time. This is all part of the organic regulation. So the national list of allowed and prohibited substances is part of the regulations, and it specifies which substances can and cannot be used. It has separate sections for crops, livestock, and handling and food processing operations. And again, just to review, in organic crop and livestock production, natural substances are generally allowed unless they are specifically prohibited, and synthetic substances are prohibited unless they're specifically allowed. So that's what the national list does. It lays out those exceptions and when those exceptions can be applied. Okay, so I think in the rest of this presentation, we have some colleagues from FSA and NRCS who are going to talk about the types of support that organic farms and businesses can get from the USDA. This is just a quick overview slide to show that we have a ton of different programs available to organic producers or to those who are interested in transitioning. So we split them up into 5 different buckets: certification and oversight, conservation, data and research resources, general farming resources, and market promotion. So when you get this slide after the presentation, these are all links that will send you, for example, to market news, where you can get information about commodity pricing, or to NRCS's website, where you can get more information about conservation resources. I also want to mention a new program that we've just recently launched. It's the Transition to Organic Partnership Program, which will be run out of NOP. So the goal of this program is to connect transitioning farmers, those who are interested in becoming certified organic, with mentors. We're building paid mentoring networks to share practical insight and advice within the farming community. This program is also going to provide community building opportunities, and it will help transitioning and recently transitioned producers overcome some of the technical, cultural, and financial shifts. We understand that transitioning to organic production is not necessarily easy, and that support is needed to make that transition successfully. So that's what this program aims to do. Again, it's very new. We just sort of announced it at the end of August and are in the process of rolling that out, and it's evolving very quickly. But if you're interested in being involved, there's a link here to a web page to monitor for ongoing information to get involved as a producer or for others in your specific state. Another resource that we have out of NOP is the Organic Integrity Learning Center, which provides free online training. There's many different courses. I think we have over 30 courses now, but I just wanted to highlight 2 of them. The NOP 010 Introduction to the Organic System provides sort of a more fleshed out, longer version of this presentation. So it talks about who's involved in the organic sector and what all the different roles are. The Sound and Sensible Organic Certification has a ton of resources about accessing USDA support, different information about navigating some of the transition to organic challenges and information about finding a certifier. Okay, so one more go at doing a poll here today. And this is just a quick survey about organic and you. So we want to hear a little bit more about who you are, what your interest is in organic, and if you're interested in organic but maybe think there are some barriers, what are the most challenging barriers to becoming certified organic? So I think that this one only works if you go to the website. So you can text in and it'll give you a link to that website, or you can just navigate right there. And we'll see, looks like some folks are starting to respond. So we have a good mix of people on here today. Maybe I should have given more specificity to the other category. I'm curious what other folks are on the call today, but looks like a couple beginning farmers and ranchers, aspiring farmers and ranchers joining us today. Some organic professionals. And lots of folks who work with farmers or ranchers who are organic or transitioning, which is awesome. Lots of folks who use organic practices and are looking to become certified. So hopefully we've provided some information that can help you in that process. And yeah, this one is a ranking. So we'll see as stuff moves around. Definitely implementing organic practices can be a challenge. Input costs we know are generally higher for organic production, but I'm going to leave this open so you all can continue responding and we'll see how things come out in the end. And we are about to wrap up on the NOP portion and hand things over to the Farm Service Agency. So thanks again for participating today and listening. A couple of QR codes here so you can scan to link to our website, our general email address, nopguidance@usda.gov, or sign up for our Organic Insider, which is our newsletter, and you'll get all sorts of updates when we're updating the organic standards or rolling out new programs like the transition program. And I am trying to monitor the chat, but don't know that
That's okay, Laura. There were just a couple of quick questions I think that we could probably answer real quick before we move on. And of course, if anyone has questions, we may have time at the very end as well. So please go ahead and continue to enter them into the Q&A. The first one is, I've been curious why USDA organic products come with an expiration date. Well, actually, organic certification does not expire as long as the producer continues with recertifying each year. So I'm not sure if I'm not understanding the question, or that's the answer as far as expiration of organic certification. It actually does not expire. The next question is, from the time to submitting the application until receiving certification, how long does it take to get certified? You will need to find out from a certification agency. So when you contact them, that's a very good question to ask them. We have been told by certifying agents that it takes approximately 3 to 6 months. So that's about an average, but you will want to ask your certifier about that. And I think maybe we'll wait on this last question to see if we have time at the end.
Sounds good. So we will hand it over to Christopher at FSA.
Thanks, Laura. All right, so my name is Chris Vasquez. I am the section head over disaster assisted section within the Farm Service Agency. We handle a variety of programs, but 2 of which are the Organic Certification Cost Share Program and the Organic Transition Education Certification Program. So I'm going to just give you a quick overview of these 2 programs, and we'll answer any questions that you may have. So the first program discussed is the Organic Certification Cost Share Program. This is an ongoing annual program with appropriated funds to reimburse producers for costs associated with organic certification. OCCSP was implemented, and Congress authorizes USA to provide organic certification cost share assistance to producers who are obtaining certification under the National Organic Program. FSA provides cost share assistance in the following two ways. Producers and handlers may apply directly to an FSA county office for cost share payments, or state agencies may provide cost share payments to producers and handlers through grant agreements with FSA. So an overview of OCCSP. It provides organic producers and handlers financial assistance to reduce the cost of organic certification. It reimburses producers and handlers for a portion of their paid certification costs. And once eligible, cost share reimbursements for up to 50% of the certification costs each year, and not to exceed $500 per certification scope for the categories of crops, wild crops, livestock, and then as well as the handling, which includes processing. So eligible scopes under OCCSP are crops, wild crops, livestock, processing / handling, and state organic program fees. The only state that currently applies to at this point in time is California. So certified organic operations can receive cost share assistance for the scopes above only if they are listed on the organic certificate. Eligible applicants are any place where if the operation has to be physically located in either all 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, or the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So through the application process, certified organic operations may apply for OCCSP at any FSA county offices or a USDA service center. State agencies can apply to administer OCCSP. Participating state agencies, it is posted on the OCCSP webpage, which you can see here. And we are in the process right now of working through reimbursement requests. So state agencies may have a different application process. So applicants should refer to their state agency requirements if they choose to apply through the state agencies. So both FSA and state agencies accept applications and make payments in these states, but it's important that applicants cannot receive a duplicate benefit from both FSA and state agencies. So they'll have to decide one way or the other which way they want to apply. So before applying, applicants should have received their certification or have incurred expenses related to the renewal of certification. Provide an application using instructions from the State Department of Agriculture or a farm service agency. The application is simple and it's easy to fill out. It just involves sharing total costs and allowable costs for each of the scopes that we previously discussed. So right now we are in the program year 22 sign up, when that deadline is going to be October 31st of 2022. The program year 23 will cover expenses occurring October 1st of 2022 through September 30th of 2023. And that the sign up for the program year 23 will be announced at a later date. So next, I'm going to just give a quick overview of the Organic and Transitional and Education Certification Program. And so this program arose from challenges due to the pandemic made in obtaining and renewing organic certification, which was financially challenging for many operations. And so that's where the OTECP came from. So the available funding, the funding was available through the CARES Act. The Farm Service Agency made available $20 million for this program, and it's open to the same areas. So it's certified operations and transitioning operations located in the 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So why OTECP? During COVID-19 pandemic, certified organic and transitioning operation faced challenges including loss of markets, increased costs, labor shortages, costs related to obtaining or renewing the organic certification, as well as inability to obtain premium prices associated with organic commodities, despite financial costs of transitioning to organic production. So how is OTECP different from OCCSP? OTECP builds upon USDA's Organic Certification Cost Share Program. It provides pandemic-related cost share assistance to producers and handlers of agricultural products who are obtaining or renewing their certification under the NOP. And it covers an additional 25% reimbursement, or up to $250 for those same scopes that were covered under OCCSP, and then also adds in reimbursement costs for education expenses and soil testing. Now, OTECP then expands upon this assistance by including transitioning costs for those transitioning to organic practices by paying for education expense and covering additional scopes. So transitional operation means a crop or livestock production operation that is transitioning to organic production in anticipation of obtaining USDA organic certification, and that has an organic system plan or written documentation from a certifying agent accredited by the National Organic Program. To be eligible for OTECP, an applicant must have paid eligible costs during program years 20, 21, or 22, and at the time of application be either a certified or transitional operation. Expenses that have been incurred during the program year but not paid by the applicant are not eligible for the program. So from the program details, that it covers costs associated with obtaining the USDA organic certification, expenses related to the certification process, and then educational events related to organic production and handling. So covered costs for certified operations may receive assistance for obtaining or renewing the organic certification for crops, livestock, wild crop, process, and state organic program fees, includes application fees, inspection fees, including travel costs and per diem for organic inspectors, USDA organic certification costs, including fees necessary to access international markets with which AMS has equivalency agreements or arrangements, state organic program fees, soil testing as required under USDA's National Organic Program, educational event registration fees, user fees or certified sales assessments, and postage. Transitional operations and eligible categories have the following: are transitional operation fees, soil testing, and education events. So educational expenses covers registration fees for educational events that include content related to the organic production and handling in order to assist operations in increasing production knowledge of marketing practices that can improve their operations, increase resilience, and expand available marketing opportunities. And then this last slide just shows a breakdown of the different categories or scopes, and between the two programs, the amounts that the applicants could receive. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Laura. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Christopher. And next up we have NRCS. So Lindsay, over to you for conservation programs.
Great, thank you, everyone. My name is Lindsay Haynes. I'm with NRCS. I'm the National Organic Systems Specialist. And I just today want to spend a few minutes going through some of both our technical assistance and financial assistance options. And I'm assuming the audience is full of both people that have worked with us before and some completely new folks. So please feel free to ask lots of questions. But this is, if you like going on the internet first to find out about things, USDA and NRCS has lots of web pages about our assistance for organic farmers. This is what we call the organic landing page. So if you just go to our page under topics, you'll find organic, and that will bring you here to this page. But you can see we have a number of different things to offer you. We have a number of videos that talks about how we can help folks in different organic topics. We have a number of booklets, fact sheets, and handouts. A whole training webinar site. We have some organic success stories, some additional videos through the Organic Theater, and then getting started with all of the technical and financial assistance that we offer. And then we have some additional handbook and planning resources. Next slide. So here's our organic contacts, include myself from the technical side, and Donna Hopwood is my partner on the financial assistance side, available to help us. And then we also contract through Oregon Tilth with a couple folks. Ben Bowl and Marina Oriole are folks that provide some excellent training to our staff throughout the country. And at the top here are some of the videos that we have specifically relating to organic agriculture, on habitat, biodiversity, healthy soils, pasture management, weed management, irrigation, water management, and then just growing throughout the seasons with organic. Next slide. As many of you know, we work out of a field office structure. So we have local field offices, and not located in every county, but serving every county in the country. So you may have to go to an adjoining county to get to our service center, but it shouldn't be more than a county away. So that really is your first step in getting assistance from NRCS and FSA. We're co-located together. So really, while it's great to do some of this looking on the websites ahead of time, if you're not familiar with us, please, the best thing to do first thing is to go into our local field offices and get acquainted with the two agencies, or make an appointment. I think appointments are still preferred these days, but give them a call and try to set up a time to get to know those local folks. Next slide. Again, these are, I guess this is another shot of similar videos, but also one of the big resources we have is we have an organic handbook that was put together for the most part for an internal staff audience, but other folks, farmers, have found it a useful resource to better understand some of the technical assistance that we have to offer to organic producers. Next slide. And this is just what the cover looks like. We did get together, we had a national group from different partners and farmers across the country. We're going to put this together, and it just explores a lot of the topics relating to natural resource conservation and organic farming. Next slide. Some of the other resources we have, so we have this wealth of library of just written resources. So we have what we call implementation guides. So they're based on a particular practice. So on the left, you'll see this guide goes into detail on conservation buffers that are important in organic systems. We in NRCS call buffers lots of different things based on what you're trying to buffer for. We understand what organic folks need for buffers, but there's just a lot of different options there. And so we can go through all the different kinds of buffers we offer and how to implement them. And then cover crop, as you know, that's a really important practice for organic farmers. These guides are tailored to particular states. There's not one for every state, but the states can request them be adopted or adapted to their states at any time also. Next slide. We also partner with lots of folks. So this was a partnership with the Wild Farm Alliance. As many of you know about food safety and GAP concerns, there's lots of questions and things to think about. that may appear to be in conflict with conservation practices, but we still think there's a real a balance to be made between meeting those requirements and having conservation practices. And this is a great guide that sort of walks you through it, looking at it through that lens. Next, please. And then, of course, we try to find all of you and how we can and provide assistance. So this is just a pamphlet that we have available to our staff to reach out to farmers like yourselves. And it's trying to get across how we speak in conservation language. You know, we have our own terms that we use, just like organic farmers have their own terms, and we need to learn from each other. So we put this little pamphlet together that talks about all of our acronyms. So conservation technical assistance, and we talk about soil resources as soil, water, air, plants, and animals, and energy. Our products are mostly centered around conservation plans, whether we do them, if we have a third party do them, they're called conservation planning activities. Then we have a whole branch of financial assistance. Once we've figured out the technical assistance that we have to offer you, we want to pair that with financial assistance to help you implement those things. And then just an opportunity on the other side of the pamphlet for us to learn a little bit about your operation. So you're looking at some conservation planning assistance probably. Your current operation is some combination of not certified, transitioning, and want to be certified ground, which you're currently producing, which you want to produce. And then our first job as putting together a conservation plan is to understand your goals for your farm. And so we would want to have that conversation with you about what would you like to accomplish with your conservation plan. Next slide. And on the back is just, again, how we define the natural resources on your farm. We call it SWAPA, again, always an acronym for soils, water, air, plants, animals, plus energy is another one. But this is just a number of practices that might be able to be implemented on your farm to achieve what you need to transition to organic or maintain organic certification. But the important thing is to get an appointment for a conservation planner to come out to your farm. So that's that bottom line, the date of your appointment. So that's where we really do our work, where we come out to your farm, we walk the land with you, we talk with you, we understand your objectives, and we then come up with some assessments. We bring to you what we think are some opportunities on your farm, and then we put together this plan and document what you've decided you'd like to do, when you'd like to do it, and pair you up with that financial assistance. Next slide. Just so you know, just want to share some other things that we're doing to help with not just the organic community, but also help our own staff learn about organic agriculture. Is we have a program within our main conservation program of EQIP called the Conservation Innovative Grant Program. So again, an acronym, SIG for short. And a couple of years ago, we had a national call for organic SIG projects, and we funded 5 of them and had some just really interesting projects funded. So most of them actually had to do with organic no-till. As many of you know, one of the soil health principles is to minimize soil disturbance, keep the ground covered, have lots of diversity in your soil. And that's sort of a new way of thinking about organic agriculture. And we're still learning a lot about it. So we wanted to fund some of these projects to help that effort go forward. Next slide. This is our conservation webinar portal. I can't say enough about this as a resource for all of you. We have just hundreds of webinars in this library. When I put in the term organic, you can see 110 different webinars with the term organic. Now, some of them may be talking about organic matter or organic materials, but the vast majority of them have to do with organic agriculture. So please take a look at that when you have a rainy day or a moment. That's just a great resource to dive into a particular subject. We get experts from all over the country to present these webinars. And it's just I just think it's a great resource. Next slide. And then we also partner with organic partners, and many of you may know some of these partners, but we've had a long-standing agreement with Oregon Tilth. As you saw, Ben and Marina are our staff people that work through Oregon Tilth with us and provide some great training. We have a training course for our staff folks called Working Effectively with Organic Producers to help them understand better what organic producers are looking for. And then they just, provide a lot of those guide sheets I showed you, and it's just been a great partnership. But we've also in the past had some other agreements. We had an agreement with the Midwest Organic and Sustainable Education Services. They provided some localized training to the upper Midwest. We have a small agreement with the Georgia Organics and the Carolinas area, again, to provide training. That's been a nice localized training option. And new and just last year, we started an agreement with the Organic Farming Research Foundation so that we can bring the latest and greatest research about organic agriculture to our staff, sort of infuse it in our resources to help our folks better understand how organic agriculture is really science-based and has so much to offer in terms of the natural resources. Next slide. And then just lastly, I think some of you are familiar with us, but we have lots of different financial assistance programs. So I'm not going to go into them in detail other than to mention them a little bit. Again, the key is for you to go into your local field offices, get an appointment, have folks come out to your farm, and then they can help fit which program works for you best. But generically, our big program, billion-dollar program every year is EQIP, or short for the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. Within that, there's lots of different flavors of it. So we've had since 2009 something called the National Organic Initiative, and that has actually created a separate fund pool just for organic or transitioning or exempt folks to compete against each other. Otherwise, you're into the general EQIP pool. That means everyone in all sectors with all interests and focuses is competing against each other. But now this year we have this new OTI, or Organic Transition Initiative, and I don't have lots of details for you today, but know that it's being rolled out for fiscal year 23. We haven't even had a chance to do training for our states yet, but know that it's coming. We've got a number of financial assistance dollars going to target at this transition to help people specifically transitioning to organic, but it is through our normal EQIP program. So you would do the same thing. You would go to your local office, you'd sign up for EQIP, you develop that conservation plan, you'd come up with the practices to implement, and then the financial assistance would be applied for through that. So not a new way to apply, just a new sort of way our fund source that will be funding those initiatives. And then our other big conservation program is called the Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP, again, another $1 billion a year program. It sort of takes you from that after you've sort of done some EQIP sort of baseline practices, or if you've already done those without working with the EQIP, if you want to go to sort of what we call the higher level of conservation planning, sort of doing that, the highest part of our conservation standards, we do that through the Conservation Stewardship Program. So again, we would work with you by walking over your farm, developing your conservation plan, and then picking from a list of what we call, instead of conservation practices, we call them enhancements in that program. But again, they stem from the conservation practices, and there'd just be certain activities that you would be provided financial assistance to implement. And then we have some other programs like the Ag Management Assistance Program that is limited to a number of states, typically the smaller states in the country. But a lot of those states use it to focus funds for organic assistance. Again, your local office will tell you if that's available in your state. And just to mention, CRP is FSA's big conservation program, just a great opportunity to, again, plant those conservation plantings. And the great thing about CRP, you can get a rental payment for taking land out of production, plus the funds to put in the conservation plantings and some of the maintenance. Our agency provides this technical assistance for that program. So you'll still come into our local office, apply, and someone from NRCS will come out to your farm and develop that conservation plan and work through the details, but definitely administered through FSA. But all of our programs are available to all of our farmers. So it doesn't matter if you're organic or not. We have an easement program if you're interested in selling development rights. There's a great opportunity there. We have something called the Regional Conservation Partnership Program that is actually administered through partners, but also its basic aim is to get people for specific resource into offices, developing contracts and plans, and implementing conservation. So with that, I'll pause. Just there's so much for us to offer all of you. I can't say enough about taking the time to get to know your local offices, asking for a conservation plan, And so much of that will work towards your organic system plan, because I think of the organic system plan as mostly natural resource conservation. There's some other stuff, but it really is about how are you maintaining or improving your natural resources, and your conservation plan is just a great start to get you going there. So with that, if there's any questions.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay. And I think we do have a couple of questions for you, perhaps. One of those questions is asking, are there any grants available for soil erosion? They're saying heavy rainfalls are leaving huge holes in the ground where they are. So
yeah, I mean, that's a perfect request, because we used to be called the Soil Erosion Service. That's where our roots are. We came out of the Dust Bowl. We were all about getting people to reduce their soil erosion, whether it was water induced or wind induced. So again, that is a major goal of the organic program, is to maintain and improve the soil resources, and erosion is one of those #1 things that your certifier is going to come out and see if you have it, and encourage you or require you to address it. So we have lots of ways of measuring it, lots of ways to come up with the kinds of erosion it is and how to treat it. And that would be part of that conservation plan that we would put together, and then provide you some financial assistance in all likelihood to address it.
great, thanks. Then another question, can you receive financial assistance from NRCS coupled with FSA or perhaps a state agency?
Yeah, each financial assistance program has its requirements and sidebars. Typically, the programs are administered by one agency or the other. So like I've mentioned that EQIP and CSP are administered by NRCS. And so you come in and you fill out all that application information, and we would go, tell you what you can and can't do. There's unfortunately sort of a long addendum to the application, but we'll walk you through that. But say for FSA's CRP program, you would sign up for that, and they would work through all those paperworks with you. But you could have both an FSA contract for CRP. You could have an EQIP contract with NRCS. You could have a CSP contract with NRCS. So you could have multiple contracts. There's only a few probably potential conflicts that they would go over with you, but you certainly can sign up for multiple programs. Yes.
Okay, good, thanks. And Chris, I guess a question for you, for folks who may be confused on whether or not to visit their local USDA service center for services through OCCSP or the state agencies, as you mentioned. How would folks know for their particular state which agency or department is handling that? Any recommendations there?
So we have on our FSA website, we have a page for the organic certification cost share programs, and we have a list of the participating state agencies. If your respective state is not there, then that state does not have a grant agreement in place. And so to participate through OCCSP, you would need to visit your local FSA service center. Now, the service center option is available in all 50 states. So you can go to any of the states. You don't have to have a State Department participation. You can come straight to one of our service centers. But if they choose that you want to participate through a state agency, you would just have to check and see if the state is participating in the program.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Chris. And for folks, and Lindsay stressed visiting your local USDA service center, connecting there. If you are completely new, which we noticed in the poll, and I appreciate the participation there, and thank you to Laura for doing those polls. We noticed that a lot of our participants today are perhaps beginning farmers. So if you have never connected with the USDA service center, we encourage you to simply Google the USDA Service Center locator. If you have not built a relationship at the local level, there you'll find a map of the US. Every state is listed. You can click on the state that you're in, and then what section of the state. Typically it's divided east to west if you're a larger state. And you can click on your county, and there you will find local contact information for the Farm Service Agency and the Natural Resource Conservation Service. As was mentioned, typically those two agencies are co-located in the same building. So it's very easy to kind of visit with both agencies while you're there. And as well, it's a good practice to first connect with them via email or telephone, since we are still dealing with some COVID situations, to ensure that they're accepting customers in person into the office. So just wanted to let you know that that's a great way to connect and to find out where your local USDA service center is if you haven't established that relationship. Also, for beginning farmers, we want to make mention that you can visit farmers.gov/new farmers, and there you'll find a directory of all of our state beginning farmer and rancher coordinators. We encourage you to connect with those folks. So just as we have representatives here today from the Farm Service Agency, from Natural Resource Conservation Service, from AMS, NOP, those beginning farmer coordinators work with all of the agricultural resources in your state, and they can connect you with where you need to go. So if there are questions perhaps about certification, they can connect you with the folks with NOP on how to get connected there. And with that, that brings up another question. So Laura, how could folks, do you have someone locally in all of the states, or how do farmers know how to connect locally with folks to get that certification? I know you mentioned there's a report out there or a locator. Just kind of refresh us on that, a good go-to person locally for them.
Sure, yeah. So NOP is national, and we have staff sort of everywhere, but we don't have local offices like FSA or NRCS. So if there's a question specifically for NOP, the best way to contact us is to send it to that general email address, nopguidance@usda.gov. But then for some of these more specific questions, if you're wondering, like, how would the organic regulations work on my particular operation? Really, the best thing to do is to contact an organic certifier. So you go to that certifier locator in the Organic Integrity Database, search for folks who certify in your area, and you may also want to search based on the crop or the product that you're looking to have certified to see if they have experience in that, and then reach out to them and say you're a beginning farmer or a prospective organic farmer and you have some questions, and that really is sort of the local level interaction that you're going to have. They'll be able to answer the specific questions about your operation.
Perfect. So is there any acreage amount, like a minimal farmland that folks must own in order to become organic certified or anything like that? Is there any?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. There's no minimum. And the other thing that we tell folks is that if you're interested in transitioning to organic, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. So you could choose just one portion of the operation, say one field where you wanted to trial organic and see if it's going to work for you, and transition that first, and then sort of over time add more acreage. But yeah, no size requirements for organic certification.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We've had several questions to come in about the recording of this webinar. Yes, it will be recorded. We will share also the slides with you, probably in PDF format for you afterwards. It will go to all registrants. And then if you were not able, of course, to join today, you can view that later if you want to go back and re-listen. Also, it will be posted on our farmers.gov webpage as well. So there'll be a link there. We'll go to YouTube and it'll be posted there. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour. I would like to take this time, if any of our speakers have any last remarks that they would like to leave with folks, anything perhaps other presenters touched on that you want to wrap up with, or any questions that you'd like to expand upon, anything like that, I'll afford you that opportunity at this time. Anything from anyone? Okay, well, if not, then we appreciate, once again, our presenters joining us today. We are with the Farm Service Agency, housed in the Office of Outreach. I'm a member of the New Farmer and Rancher team, and we certainly appreciate all of our participants who joined us today and took time out of your day to listen to this presentation. that was brought to you by USDA. So certainly hope you were able to take away some good information and will join us again for some of our future webinars. So thank you and have a great day.